Donna, when we talk about the campaign going forward, how are they handling the attack, initial attack, the biggest attack so far, against the running mate, Tim Walz, on him having misspoken in 2018 about his military service? And they're saying that is akin to, bragging about his service, false claims of valor.
Well, you're talking to a military brat here, and I can tell you among military families, among service members, this really is not going to play very well at all, I think. Attacking a 24-year veteran of the National Guard. I think at the end of the day, this is going to be much ado about nothing, and in fact could end up alienating voters that Trump definitely needs to have, closer to his camp. And so, I heard Tim Walz's defense of his own record, and he is the best defender of his time in the service. So,
and Donna, speaking of Donald Trump, here he is.
Fantastic job here, and we appreciate it. We think we're doing very well. We just had a poll that shows we're doing very well, and we have an interesting couple of months ahead of us. I'm going to North Carolina right now. We're going to speak on the economy. It's basically a speech on what's going on with our economy. It's gone very bad under this group of people, with inflation, with the economy itself, and so many other things. The other thing we're going to talk a little bit on is crime. If you look at the migrant crime in New York, it's been out of control, and it is everywhere, as I predicted a long time ago. And we'll be talking a little bit about crime and all of the people that have come into our country illegally, millions and millions. I think it's close to 20 million, maybe it's more than 20 million. And they shouldn't have been allowed to come here. It's causing tremendous problems, causing death. And just it's been a horror show. Nobody's seen anything like it, and it's only going to get worse. They should not have allowed this to happen to our country. With that being said, I'm leaving for right now North Carolina. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. What has the FBI told you about the hack on your campaign?
Well, they're looking at it, and they're doing it very professionally, and it looks like it's Iran doing it, because Iran is no friend of mine, and, a lot of bad signals get sent. But it looks like it's Iran doing it, and the reason is because I was strong on Iran, and I was protecting people in the Middle East that maybe they aren't so happy about that. So that's what it seems to be, Iran.
Is that what the FBI told you specifically, that it was Iran?
I don't want to say exactly, but it was Iran.
And you said Harris's crowd sizes were AI and that there weren't people there. There's all kinds of video evidence and people who were there who have proven that false. Can you tell us about why you made that claim?
Well, I can't say what was there, who was there. I can only tell you about ours. We have the biggest crowds ever in the history of politics. We have crowds that nobody's ever seen before, and we continue to have that. We have a level of enthusiasm that nobody's seen before. They want to make America great again. That's what's happening. We're going to make it great again. Right now, we have a failing nation. We're in a failing nation, and become in many ways a third world nation, and we're not going to let that happen. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
But Donald Trump repeating, first of all, his claims about crowd size, calling it a failing nation, trying to cast the economy in a bad light. People are feeling that inflation is still a problem. I'm here with Mark and Doug and Donna. Mark, let's talk about that, because inflation there were good numbers today. It's coming down. There's going to be a Fed cut that everybody is predicting. The size is now the question. But the numbers are better, but it's still the biggest problem, and immigration is the biggest problem. So those 2 points he's making. However, he's saying it's Iran, and that if they did hack him, it's because of his past postures. But there's now indications that the Democrats were also, spearphished by whoever did this, and likely Iran.
Yeah, Andrea, what really struck me was he said, I'm going to North Carolina today to talk about the issues, to talk about the economy, to talk about crime, to talk about immigration. That is what a lot of Republican strategists have been saying. Please talk about the issues.
And then what happened?
Right. And then, of course, all good plans go out the window sometimes. And so we'll see if he follows this script. But it is interesting that he says he at least is going to do it. And you're exactly right, Andrea. When you look at the overall economic numbers, the jobs that are created, GDP, there are a lot of good things for the Biden-Harris administration to tout. But where Republicans have actually been going out is the cost of living. And that actually has been going down. But any kind of polling polling that's out there, including in the new Cook Political Report battleground polls, you end up having Donald Trump with an advantage on economy and cost of living. However, and this is really interesting to me, Harris actually has been able to cut into that lead more than Biden has. And that kind of leads me to believe in a lot of ways that this race before Joe Biden's exit was really shaping up to be a referendum on him. And you remove him from the equation, and all of a sudden, that economic picture looks a little bit better for Democrats.
Doug, you want to weigh in?
Well, I think Republicans are stopping to use the phrase or the term inflation. They're going to talk about costs. Inflation is a term that we use in Washington and New York, and people in Asheville, North Carolina, they don't use that. And so what you see Republicans doing at the RNC and various campaigns is here's what gas costs, here's what milk costs, here's what an apartment cost on January 20th, 2021, and here's what it costs now. And those numbers are really bad for the Harris campaign. It's what Trump should be emphasizing every day, but he can go in any meandering direction he chooses.
And Donna, Harris is still, as Doug and Mark have pointed out, she's underwater on the economy, and he gets much more credit from all voters on the economy than she does.
Except that you're beginning to see, and I think in some of these battleground state polls, is that, things that were attributable to Biden are not necessarily, at least in voters' minds, attributable to Kamala Harris. And so I think there's still a story to be told here by Kamala Harris and her team about the economy, about where they want to take the economy. And those messages do slowly but surely seem to be seeping through. Look, I think that this was always going to be a close election. It's going to be a close election. And I think that nobody should take their foot off the brakes, least of all the Harris-Walz team.